to play ICAI motto song.
य एषः सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एषः सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रदब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Good evening, all. We welcome all of you in this another webinar on how we can develop our expertise so far as the Excel is concerned. With us today, our respected chairman of the WRC, CA Saurabh Ajmera ji, under whose leadership we all are flourishing, reaching greater heights, and 75th chairman who is dynamic, visionary, and always believing in empowerment. So, Chairman Sir, welcome. We have with us CA Rakesh Shahji, Treasurer of the WRC, again a dedicated and experienced person with full of wisdom. And today's our learned faculty, Ashok Kataria sir, who is there feeling us like he's in Goa, but he is working for us from his home today. So, sir, thank you very much for having such a dedication for all of us as well. Now, with these words, I request Chairman WRC, CA Saurabh Ajmera sir, to address all of us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, the Dynamic Secretary of WRC, CA Vishen Shah, who is taking lead in so many initiatives at WRC. We do have presence of Treasurer of WRC, CA Rakesh Shah. He is leading for so many things in the accounting and assurance fields. And today we have speaker with us, Mr. Ashok Karkera. Again, another exciting day for all of us to learn about advanced Excel course. And I believe that this is much needed in the current era also, because the way things are moving fast, we have to upgrade ourselves. And being chartered accountant and being part of the ICI, we always known for the updates and the best professional delivery which is expected by the stakeholders. So my request to each one of you, please continue to participate in such type of programs which we are hosting at WRC. And this year is really a very special year for me, as I am representing into 75th year of WRC, and we are celebrating the Platinum Jubilee year, and in which we are targeting everything at next level. You can say a lot of milestone we are creating in terms of programs, in terms of content which we are creating for all our members. And in this series, I like to say that well in advance this time we have come out with our regional conference. 7 months before, we have announced our regional conference, that is Divya Drishti, in which we are looking forward for your presence, and we are going to discuss all about Vidya, vision and values. We have come out with the structure also. More than 4 months is yet to go, and we have come out with the structure well in advance, so all participants can join, can plan their schedule accordingly. And in this conference, we are going to have more than 100 exhibitions, more than 100 speakers, and we are expecting more than 3,000 chartered accountant presence over there. So looking forward for such a great big show, which we are targeting in terms of connecting, collaborating, and providing great opportunities in terms of networking. Then, friends, August month is also very, very important for all of us as we are doing a lot of things. And the most important buzzword which we are hearing now is AI. And that is why we have come out on 14 and 15 August with the National Conference on AI, in which we are targeting more than 400 chartered accountants. And it will be an intuitive experience in terms of gaining for the all the topics related to AI, be it in financial modeling, indirect tax, litigation. Then we are going to talk about vibe coding, which is again a new thing in the AI space. So looking forward for your participation over there. And then we do have Capital Market National Conference, which we have scheduled on 21st and 22nd. This is again an intuitive experience in terms of gaining a lot of things. So looking forward for your presence in all the big show. And while having the presence, we can have more collaborative and connective approach with the WRC. And we have come out with so many initiatives also. The impact which we are trying to create on our fraternity is now visible in because we are completing almost 6 months of our tenure, and now I can see the impact is there in every manner, be it innovation, change of mindset, professional excellence, adaptability, again a big thing, then collaborative approach which we were trying. Now I can see that lot of chartered accountant are collaborating at the platform of WRC in terms of CN Access and WRC Corporate Setu, which is very, very important. And then we are transforming our journey with the initiative like Market on Monday, Sustainable Sunday, and the 75th year initiative, in which we have come out with 75 new initiative. So you can see that your WRC is functioning at 360-degree level, and requesting each one of you to connect with YouTube channel of WRC as well as all the social media platforms, so you can get regular update for all the programs. In the month of July, we have completed already 24 programs to empower all our members to accelerate our profession. And similar way, we are planning so many workshops, so many master classes in terms of empowerment. So looking forward for your effective participation. With this, over to you, Bishan Bhai, again a dynamic secretary of WRC.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sir. The impact which you have created for members and students, I am pretty sure that everyone is experiencing that. And I remember when we reached to Nagar and you address women members over there, senior members over there, and industry leaders as well, where they also appreciated your efforts. And I request everyone try to see WRC Connect as well, from where you can find many more things on our website. And even what Chairman Sir said about having collaboration with the other chartered accountants as well. Now, going ahead with today's topic, yes, it's Excel with the pivot, how we are using pivot tables, and with the use of AI, I am pretty sure that it will be much more easier and efficient for all of us. Now, I request our treasurer, CA Rakesh Shah sir, to introduce our learned faculty of the day. Over to you, Rakesh bhai. Sir, you are mute.
Yeah, thank you, Visanjay. I just request back office to display the slide. So meanwhile, I just also let everyone know that under the leadership of Mr. Saurabh Ajmera, many virtual programs are being planned. And in the past also, there is a continuous market on Monday, women on Wednesday. In the same series, similar programs. So now the Indies virtual series is being introduced. So starting next August 13, on the every Thursday there will be virtual program on Indies. So I request all the members to take the benefit of that this virtual program and attend this program to have the empowerment. Mr. Ji. So as you know, today's speaker is Mr. Ashok Karkera ji. He is an associate vice president, learning and development at Tata Capital Housing Finance Limited, where he leads a functional learning and development initiative across the organization. He is a passionate, Excel enthusiastic, and automation specialist. Ashok has spent years developing advanced Excel-based solutions that solve real-world business challenges. His expertise extends well beyond spreadsheet. He encompassing the enterprise dashboard, MIS automation, HR analytics, business intelligence solution, uh, VBA-based application, process optimization tool. Several of his solutions have significantly reduced manual effort while improving reporting currency accuracy and decision making across functionals. So welcome your Shobji. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakeshji, Saurabhji, and Bishanji, as well as WIRC, ICAI for hosting me once again. So today's session, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'll start sharing my screen and we'll take it from there. Just one moment. Has everybody received the file? If one of you can, if some of you can just confirm.
Yes, sir. File डाल दिया.
डाल दिया है. Very good. अभी भी I think couple of people are saying कि उनको file
Sir, वापस.
chat.
Sir, वापस डाल देता हूँ, sir.
Okay. ठीक है. So मोटा मोटा आज क्या कवर करेंगे? This is just the tip of the iceberg. ठीक है. You can keep looking at my screen because the first 10-15 minutes is an introduction to what pivots are. Okay, so before I start, file आ जाएगा. On the chat window, I think WIRC team can share it a couple of times. In the meanwhile, let me ask everybody, what do we use a pivot for? आप लोगों ने कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पे pivots use किया है? And if you have used it, what have you used it for? So that I get a brief understanding about where does the audience sit when it comes to pivots. Okay, for quick data analytics, okay, for analysis purposes, fantastic. To summarize data, lovely. No, Batliwala, Rustam Dinshaw. I think it's not the same file; it's a different file. I'm shared my screen. You can see the file looks like this. Data consolidation to summarize, analyze, and interpret. Summarizing a large data set. Okay, we will seek your support for summarizations very quickly. Zero knowledge about it. Okay, good. Somebody is yet to start using a pivot, which is fine. For cost analysis, financial performance synopsis, summary versions on various parameters. Lovely. Okay, fantastic. Okay, सुपर. अभी मेरे को एक छोटा सा सवाल है आगे बढ़ने से पहले. अपन we use these two words, you know, data and information, and very often we use both these words interchangingly. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between data and information? Data is tabulated, okay, data is raw, okay, data is more structured, information is based on data. Claude is helping in all of these. That is correct. Claude, not just Claude, any of the AI tools are helping in most of it. But it is always a great idea to know how to use the tools as well. मतलब automatic गाड़ी चलाना अच्छी बात है, but manual जब पता रहता है, you can handle the car in a better way in the event of a situation where you don't have access to a tool. Okay, anyway, information. Okay, lovely. Information is nothing but आपका जो raw data है उससे something meaningful when you extract out of it. So I'm directly going to the pivots practice sheet. सबसे पहले एक सवाल, screen size बड़ा करना है आपका या is this okay? Is the screen size okay with people or should I make it big? Okay. I expect this almost every time. By file आ जाएगा. File is being shared multiple times on the chat window. आपको मिल जाएगा. अब मेरा स्क्रीन बराबर दिख रहा है? Okay, super. So यहाँ पे I have some data. This is a slightly large data set. अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे, इसको minimize करने का कुछ option रहेगा ना? So ये data set अगर आप देखोगे, this is about 1000 records. ठीक है? 1000 records है. And about 43 columns, जिसमें column A and column AQ are the same. Okay, WIRC team, just share the file once on the chat window.
Okay, sir.
Hattasati link. Okay, I don't know what is Hattasati link. I am also trying to share the file once again. I have also shared it. Yeah. So while the file is being shared once again from me, in the meanwhile, we will continue with the discussion here. Okay. So this is a data. This is a large amount of data that is there. Okay. सबके पास जो file, जिनके पास file आ चुका है, people who have got this file, can you tell me the total of the sales amount for California? So sales amount is in column AN, and the sales province is in column AC. I want the sum total of sales done. No one has received the file. I have also just shared it on the chat window. Are you not able to download that? Okay. Can somebody run a poll? WRC team, if you can run a poll, I don't think I have access to that. To ask if people have received or not received the file. It's a 600 KB file. It's not very large. So pin करने का option नहीं है. Otherwise, I would have loved to pin it up for everyone. $600 KB. It is not a large file. So I don't think. Okay, can everybody see this in the chat window? This file, I'm just seeing it on the screen. Can you see this file here? WIRC ICAI has sent a file at 451. It's a 630 KB file. मतलब चिंटू सा ही file है. It is not. Okay. Okay, I am sending once again. See here, I'm putting it for everyone and I'm sharing the file again. No, that. Once again, I have shared it on the chat window. Can everyone see this here? 4:52 p.m. Okay, please download it now. 4:52 p.m. My message has this. Please download it.
सर वी ट्रांसफर लिंक बनाए थे पीपीटी इसका एक्सेल का.
वी ट्रांसफर का मेरे को एक्सेस नहीं है.
मैं बना दिया और डाल दिया.
हाँ. Okay. So there's a V transfer link also shared. Plus, I have just shared it on the chat window at 4:53. हाँ. So just download it. Okay. अभी जिन जिन के पास फाइल आ चुका है, जिन्होंने ओपन कर लिया है, I want a quick sum of the total sales done by the province of California in by the province of California. If you can just do whatever methods you usually use and tell me how long does it usually take to just compute this much information. आपको सिर्फ इतना ही करना है. You want to filter for the state of California or the province of California, and you want to have the sum total of the sales amount. It amounts to some 60,691.89. It takes a couple of seconds for you to filter, but this is giving you information only about California. अभी ध्यान दीजिए, जो raw data था, that was where you have each of these records. Each of these records is a raw data. The moment I have filtered it and the moment I took a sum total, what I now have is information. अभी मुझे पता है कि कैलिफोर्निया में 60,691 का सेल हुआ है, डॉलर्स और रुपीस और व्हाटएवर. हाँ, filter and subtotal. I have just used filter and subtotal. It has taken me a couple of seconds. But the problem is, in this particular data set, if I look at it, I have not just California, but I have a whole list of, I have a whole list of provinces here. अभी एक एक का मेरे को अगर करने जाऊंगा, it is going to waste a lot of time. I am sharing this thing on the chat window. I request everyone not to reply, because क्या होगा, वो फाइल फिर ऊपर ही रहेगा. Couple of people can at least download it, this thing. आप download कर दिया, very good. After 3 minutes, if you still don't get it, then say you did not receive it. I've sent the file once again. Arey, don't write not received, right? Just a second. See, 4:55. I have shared it once again to everyone. If you don't write on the chat window, okay, WIRC you're sharing it to hosts and panelists and not to the audience. You need to change that to everyone. So I have shared it to everyone. Just 4:55 का मैसेज देख लो मेरा, उसमें आपको मिल जाएगा. Okay, superb. So just download it. Superb. ठीक है. अब right now, just for getting California ka information, we spent some couple of seconds, 30, 40, 50 seconds. But if I want to do it for each of these, it is going to take me some amount of time. Okay. This is a precise location where pivots come into play, or a basic pivot comes into play. So the first couple of slides, और यहाँ पे जो आप देख रहे हो, this layout is the Microsoft Learning Template layout. ठीक है. Contents are from the Microsoft Learning Library. लास्ट में pivots practice, यहाँ पे हम अपना डेटा के साथ खेलेंगे. So for people who are using a pivot for the first time, in very simple language, a pivot table basically takes the data. ये डेटा है आपका, date, buyer, type, amount. ये डेटा को लेके इसको समराइज कर सकता है. डेटा को उठा के उसको समराइज किया. सो यहाँ पे dad is mentioned once, mom is mentioned, say mom has spent on fuel, on food, again on food. Okay. And I wanted a sum total of each of those. You can see that calculation done here by a pivot. We will work on building our own pivot for the first time, but just understand what a pivot is. Okay. I'm assuming there are no questions. If there is anybody who has any question as we go ahead. So the first 10, 12 slides, I will just explain. Yeah, sure, Vinay. Just put it on the chat window like this. So I'm looking at the chat window so I can respond to it. यहाँ पे ये आपका data है. What is a data? Where you have multiple rows which have some content. So यहाँ पे देखो कि first row says 1st of Jan को mom spent on fuel $74. 15 Jan mom spent $235 on food. 17 Jan dad spent $20 on sports. This is technically data. It is not useful unless you consolidate it. What a pivot does is it consolidates that information. So instead of showing individually कि mom ने multiple entries किया है, it is just showing a single entry here. The same way it shows for Kelly also. Okay, it sum totals the amounts that have been spent by Kelly, and it is showing you that value here. This is called a pivot. Dinesh, no, we will be starting with the basics because there are people who have not used a pivot before. So we start with the basics. As we move ahead, we will also be getting into slightly more advanced topics. So we will be looking at what's a calculated field. We'll be looking at what's a calculated item. How do we group data so that, and especially as CAs, it will come in helpful. So yeah, if you're fairly conversant with PPTs, you can probably stay on mute. I mean, not on mute. You can lower the volume and probably keep it. By about 5:20, we will start with the actual work on the existing pivots. Okay. So I hope the first slide is clear. A pivot is nothing but simplification of data. It makes your data into easy information without writing formulas. Next, the same data, यहाँ पे जो आपने data देखा था, इसमें you have technically a buyer and a type. अब इसमें I just have the buyer information, but I can also make a pivot to show both the type and the buyer to give me a more granular outlook of the data. So in one look, I know that Kelly has spent money on books. Okay, mom has spent $470 on food and $74 on fuel. Music, the only person who has spent that is Kelly. Tickets, again, Kelly has spent it. So instead of just saying Kelly has spent $270, it is now breaking that information into what was those spends on. Okay, so pivot table is capable of drilling down the data in multiple cuts. Any questions still here? Okay, super. अगला क्या कर सकता है? You can also make a quick chart. जो existing data है, उसको आप chart में भी देख सकते हो कि किस चीज में सबसे ज्यादा पैसा जा रहा है. Where have you spent the most? In one look, you know that food, whether it is dad or mom or Kelly, whoever has spent on food, you can actually have a quick look to say that more than like the highest spend has been on food. This is called a pivot chart. A pivot chart is created from an existing pivot table. कैसे करते हैं हम लोग आएंगे आगे जाके बनाएंगे. यहाँ पे just this is the understanding part. इसके अलावा while making a pivot, some things to keep in mind. Yes, Naveen, we will come to it. We will make our own pivots. Okay, so just give it a minute. We'll come to that. यहाँ पे this is a small data set. ठीक है. One rule before you start making a pivot, you cannot have any column that is not having a heading. So अगर हमारा data कुछ इस प्रकार है, okay, and I do not have a heading here, I am at a fairly large zoom, Mitesh. Is this something that everybody is facing, or is it only Mitesh? Okay. Zoom level is, I mean, because I've kept it at 768. अब इससे ज़्यादा करूँगा तो I cannot see the screen also, so it will become चिंटू. Okay. So अभी मैंने यहाँ पे डेटा इधर इस प्रकार से डाला है. यहाँ पे heading नहीं है. If there is no heading, if there's a blank cell in your title row, you cannot make a pivot table. यहाँ पे अगर आप pivot table बनाने का कोशिश करोगे, the way to make it, and I'll tell you the differences also. One, you can go into insert, tap on pivot table, okay, and you can make a pivot table here. But यहाँ पे जैसे मैं okay करूँगा ना, it is automatically assuming field 3 in Office 365. Earlier versions of Excel, it will not let you proceed. It is heading automatic, but it will not let you proceed in earlier versions of Excel. So rule number 1, you need to have a heading. Okay. Again, if you have a completely blank row, an entire row is empty, your pivot might start throwing up errors. Between your data, if you have an entire row that is empty, it might start throwing up errors. So just good to know that your data structure should be clean when you're working on a pivot. Ab file, somebody will share it. Purva. Anybody who has got the file, just share it. It is okay. Normal English में we will call these as columns. Okay, if I open an Excel sheet, okay, column, this is column A, this is column B, this is column C, right? But inside a pivot table, inside a pivot, this is called a field. This field is called date, this field is called buyer, this field is called type, and this field is called amount. तो पहले ये एक चीज याद रखो, pivot tables में we call the columns as a field. Okay? Field के अंदर जो चीजें हैं, so for example, you have date. Date consists of date, month, and year. So month पकड़ते हैं. In this data, if I look at it, I have data for the months of Jan and Feb. Field के अंदर के जो items है, which is Jan and Feb जो है, उसको हम pivot tables के language में we don't call it as a row, we call it as a item. तो इतना एक याद रखो सबसे पहले. What is a field? Is a column. बहुत simple language में field is a column. Row, sorry, item is a row. मैं chat window पे दिया हूं. ये बड़ा simple से एक concept दिमाग में बिठा दो, because आगे जाके when we work on slightly advanced topics, वहां पे we will actually start using these terms. Okay? अभी तक कोई सवाल है? This is very simple. अभी तक कुछ डिटेल में नहीं गया हूं. I hope it is clear till everyone. Okay. Even this is a pivot. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे कुछ values है, ठीक है, 74 235 इन सब का ये values है. I want to have a sum total of all of this. ये जो 834 है ना, ये जो इधर बनाया है, this is the pivot. Sum of amount. यहाँ पे क्या किया है? Data select किया है और सिर्फ amount को values वाले column इसमें values वाले block में डाला है. This is also a pivot. Sometimes when you're working on a dashboard, you may want to highlight one specific number, say total sales done by whatever the company that you're auditing. Okay, so you can have a pivot actually show that value there. So sometimes इतना चिंटू भी हो सकता है pivot. ठीक है, इसी को हम expand कर सकते हैं. What we saw in the beginning, we can expand it by type, we can expand it by both. ठीक है, so ये basic concepts है. Now we will actually go down to making our own pivots. उसके पहले let me just explain. यहां पे जब मैंने pivot के अंदर क्लिक किया था, ये साइड में एक डब्बा आया है pivot table fields करके. आप में से कितने लोगों को ये नहीं दिख रहा है? Anybody who's not getting this pop-up automatically, pivot table fields नहीं दिख रहा है, then just right click inside any pivot. Okay, you will have an option called show field list. Tap, ये आ जाएगा. I'll repeat, right click inside a pivot, show field list, you will get it. Achha, how do you know that you've clicked inside a pivot? If you've clicked anywhere outside, your menu bar has file, home, insert, page layout, falana dimkana. But the moment I tap inside a pivot, it has two new fields added. There's a pivot table analyze and design. Hital, we will do it in the next 1 minute. 1 minute, promise. ठीक है, पिवट टेबल के अंदर जैसे ही आप कहीं क्लिक करोगे, यू विल सी दैट देयर आर टू न्यू हेडिंग्स दैट हैव कम अप, पिवट टेबल एनालाइज एंड डिजाइन. वो भी क्या है आगे जाके देखेंगे. यहां तक क्लियर एवरीवन? अब एक काम करते हैं, लेट अस गो डायरेक्टली इनटू आवर डेटा. दिस इज द पिवट्स प्रैक्टिस शीट. ठीक है, ये फर्स्ट 20 स्लाइड्स प्लस ये जो लर्न मोर का सेक्शन है, यू कैन यूज दिस टू रेफर टू लर्निंग कंटेंट फ्रॉम माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, content that's available free of cost on LinkedIn. Okay, how do you ensure that your data is clean? Again, an article on Microsoft. Each of these can be self done. And जितने भी topics मैंने अभी तक cover किया हूं, there's a detailed description on every slide, every sheet. My bad. Okay, अब आते हैं to make our first pivot. So सबसे पहले I want everybody to come to this particular sheet, which is called Pivots Practice. Once you're ready, how to get that table? आएगा रितेश. We'll do it now. साथ में करेंगे. Once you have the data ready, you have two options. One, you select this entire data till here. How do you do it? You click on the first cell, A1 वाला cell पे click करो, Control Shift right arrow, Control Shift down arrow. And if I want it to be expanding for that entire range, I will keep the shift button pressed, control shift button pressed, and press the down arrow once again. Another option, click anywhere inside the table, press control A, control shift down arrow, that will also work. So first you select the data from which you want to make the pivot. Done? Next, pivot बनाने के दो तरीके हैं. एक, जिनको shortcuts की आदत है, we normally use Alt DP. This is a pivot table wizard. इसमें and the insert वाला method में there is a difference. वो क्या है वो मैं explain करता हूँ. Even for advanced pivot users, there's something interesting that I'm going to tell you here. So just pay attention. Two ways of making a pivot. One, you can use a pivot table wizard. The shortcut is Alt DP. यहाँ पे वो पूछेगा आपका डेटा कहाँ पे है. एक्सेल शीट में है, डेटा सोर्स है, एक्सटर्नल डेटा सोर्स है. I can even extract it from an Access database or MS SQL database or any other databases if I want. Even web data sets today. Multiple consolidation ranges. Okay, advanced part में आता है. I will explain what is this now, but we can work on it. If somebody has a query on this, we'll work on it later. Sometimes क्या आता है, आपके पास जनवरी का डेटा एक शीट में, फरवरी का दूसरे में. Alt DP. Alt DP. That is the shortcut. Yeah. Alt दबा के पकड़ के DP दबाओ. डेटा सेलेक्ट करो, Alt DP. तो ये विंडो आएगा. This is a pivot table wizard. ठीक है. This is fantastic. लेकिन इसके कुछ लिमिटेशंस है. वो क्या है मैं बताता हूं. इसमें अगर मैं नेक्स्ट मार के I want to make a this thing that uses ranges this thing. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I choose multiple consolidation? Sorry. I just need this Excel for now. I just need the Excel sheet. उसने A to AQ कॉलम पकड़ा, नेक्स्ट पे क्लिक किया. इट इज आस्किंग मी कहां पे चाहिए, नए वर्कशीट में चाहिए या एग्जिस्टिंग वर्कशीट पे. डू आई वांट द पिवट टू बी इन द सेम वर्कशीट और ऑन अ न्यू वर्कशीट. आई कैन क्लिक ऑन फिनिश एंड इट विल क्रिएट अ पिवट टेबल. बट there is a small catch. Let me just show you that. If I go to insert and click on pivot table, if I go to insert and click on pivot table, I'll request somebody can share the link for Devi Prasad. Sorry. If I go to insert and click on pivot table, here, do you see there's some additional option here? नीचे एक option आ रहा है, add this data to the data model. Anybody on the call who can tell me what is this? इसमें और उसमें क्या फर्क हो सकता है? Anyone? एक normal pivot बनाने में and okay, I'm sharing the file once again. Bear with me. Thank you, Gopal. Manje, in simple language, if I have to tell you, I have shared the file once again for people who have joined later. Charulata, that if I make it into a table, that will automatically take care. In the last session, we covered that. If I convert my raw range into a table, then it will take it. No, one of the most commonly used feature is if I want to have unique records. Okay, if I want to have unique records, for example, I have employee training data. Okay, Shubham has attended. Yes, you can build it into the data model. What you're doing with the function unique range, you can do that inside a pivot table if you convert this into a data model. This is one of the most commonly uses of this particular feature. Giving an example, training data hai. Ashok Karkera has attended 15 training programs, but as far as since I work with a housing finance company, NHB wants to see how many employees have attended a training. Okay, so वहां पे I need to know unique coverage. वहां पे I can use that very easily because if I add this data into a data table, I can use it. Yes, data model. And data model का दूसरा फायदा ये है, a lot of people have been saying you can link it to multiple tables. Yes, you can. You can also build relationships. For now, we will now start with the basics. ठीक है, so Alt DP वाला जुगाड़ कर लेते हैं. Alt DP दबाया, data चुना, Alt DP चुना. I can directly click on finish. This is your first pivot table. For people who are working on pivots for the first time, this is how your first pivot table is going to look like. Ab, we wanted to first let us understand what are the things that you have on the screen and how can you use this very well. I will just go to, so ये जो मेरा डेटा है इसमें I have birthday. Let me just see if the birthday is stored in the right format. Oh yes, it is. Beautiful. So what I'm now going to do is I have created a pivot. This is my first pivot table that I have created. You see this blank area where it shows the name pivot table 2. Chat window किधर गया? Bear with me. I can't see your chats. Ah, yeah, it's back. Yes, Chirag, back to this thing. All TP, we made the pivot. This is the first pivot that we have made. यहाँ पे पहले स्क्रीन पे क्या है वो समझ लेते हैं. This is the structure. This is a blank area where your pivot table is going to come in. Okay. ये साइड में जो डब्बा आया है, this is called the pivot table fields. If you're not getting this box, if you don't get this box, right click anywhere inside the pivot and click on show field list. The moment you click on show field list, you can see this box here. इसके चार input areas hai. There's a filters input area, there's a columns, rows and values. What you want to show in your fields, you put it inside the columns. Whatever you want as items, you put it inside the rows. And addition, subtraction, whatever numeric actions you want to do, that will be shown inside the values. So एक simple example दिखा देता हूँ. I'm going to go for sales amount. ठीक है, sales amount का जो इस पे मैं sum total मारना चाहता हूँ. So I just drag the sales amount and I drop it here. I just dragged sales amount and I dropped it here. It tells me the total of sales amount is 5,17,179. This is also a pivot. But मैं अभी जानना चाहता हूं कि ये कौन से प्रोविंस में क्या सेल हुआ है, कैसा हुआ है. So I search for province name. I drag it and put it into my rows. So remember that exercise we did at the beginning of the call? We said, nothing can be seen. It's a white screen. You want me to reshare? Okay, screen is visible. Okay, I've shared it again just in case. Okay. So यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे, beginning of the call we had a look, California का. Sure, Mohit. But the thing is, if people have questions, it's okay. I mean, I've kept the chat on the side. I can see it as and when required. So California का अपने को total चाहिए था 60,691. वो इधर दिख रहा है. But now, instead of just seeing California, I have data for everyone. British Columbia, California, England, Esson, New South Wales. Okay, for every single province that is there in this particular data set, I have a summary that I can see. This is instant. This is something I can do without having any awareness. अच्छा, अभी मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि कौन से products बिके हैं. Okay, let's say I want to find out what category of products have sold. I'm putting that in the columns. In 1 second, I have a far more detailed breakup. So California did not spend 60,691 on one product. It has spent 2,714 on accessories, 57,221 on bikes, and 755 on clothing. Okay, so this is suddenly far more useful than just a number like 60,691. Clear? Can I request everyone to try? How do you get the sum? Okay, good question. I have just dragged the sales amount. When I drag the sales amount to values, automatically it is going to show. Okay, Sandeep, can you take a screenshot and put it on the chat window? We can look at it. Or if you can just go inside, just go tap anywhere inside the pivot. On top, on top you have this option called pivot table analyze. Sure, Ritesh, we'll come to it. You go to pivot table analyze, tap on change data source, and can you just copy this, whatever you're seeing here, can you copy and paste it here, Sandeep? This thing, what you see here, just share this on the chat window, no, if you can, so I can at least understand why is your data showing different? Ritesh, I'm explaining it once again. I delete this entire sheet. My raw data is here. I first select. Okay, I first select my entire data. So A से लेके AQ तक का पूरा column चुना, नीचे तक चुना. How do I do this thing using shortcuts? Selected A1, Control plus Shift plus right arrow. ठीक है, and I did the same thing, Control plus Shift plus down arrow twice. ठीक है, तो मैंने यहाँ A1 पे सेलेक्ट किया था, Control Shift right arrow, Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow once again. Then I press Alt DP and I directly click on Finish. मैं ज्यादा कुछ सोचा नहीं, directly Finish पे आ गया. Now I wanted the sales amount. ठीक है, so मैं sales amount पे इसको खींच के लेके आके values पे डाला. Default it is adding up the values. Next I wanted province name, so I put in the province name in the rows and English category name, product category name in the columns. Instantly, I have my data, which looks somewhat like this. Okay, you are missing a couple of rows, Sandeep. Our data, you see, it is going till AQ 1001. So that is why. Asmita, you need to select the data first. Select the entire data and then press Alt TP. नहीं तो data select करो, click Insert, Pivot Table, and click on OK. So you select the data, insert pivot table, click on OK. वो भी same जगह पे आपको लेके आएगा. I don't know which version of Excel you're using, but 2013 onwards, Alt DP is a standard. Yeah, Alt NV also works. N is for insert. Okay. The base table to refresh every time the pivot table changes. No, when the file opens or closes, we can do it. Otherwise, we can create a macro to do it. Otherwise, by default, a pivot will not auto refresh. Okay, first इतना समझ लिया सबने, इतना pivot बनाया है. You can make a macro that will do it. Okay, fantastic. Anybody stuck? Till here, anybody who's stuck? Some of you might be wondering, why is there a blank here and here? Okay, there is a blank that is mentioned here and here. Why is there a blank? It will, Parvez, but good habit is to select the data, because sometimes if you have multiple data sets inside a sheet, you might not get the right data selection. What to select in row? Okay, in this example, I have chosen state province name in the rows. See here on my screen, you can see it. State province name मैंने rows पे डाला, columns में ये डाला. How can we decide title should be coming under column row labels? You are not getting blank, Karthik, because you have selected exactly this data. If you select this data ना, A to AQ till here, तो आपको blank नहीं आएगा. मैंने क्या किया था? I had selected the entire data set. तो कल के डेट में, see, if you see my data source, if I go to pivot table analyze and I click on change data source, my data source is $A, $AQ. In your case, it will be $A1 to $AQ 1001 or something like that. Then you will have the blanks that will be shown. So if you don't want that, you can just click on any one of these and remove the tick mark on the blank and cup. That is gone. All blanks are gone. Now we have a clean pivot that is ready. Till here, any questions? Anyone? Okay, superb. Now, let us now start understanding some of the nuances of pivot tables. यहाँ पे you have a blank, you have several cells which are blank. For whatever reason, you decide that you don't want it to show as blank. Malkani, I have just removed this. So I click inside any of the drop downs. ये वाला drop down भी चलेगा, ये वाला drop down भी चलेगा, और जो blank है उसका tick उड़ा दो. Okay. Okay, you'll have to give me a moment here because, as I said, I'm working from home. Just a moment, bear with me. Just a moment here. Extremely sorry, guys. So since I'm working from home for the day, I live with a bunch of dogs. I have total of 6 dogs. There are 3 that live with me. I'm home because one of them is a little unwell. So somebody had come at the door. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Somebody has asked, what is the relevance of writing a dollar? I hope you were there for the last workshop. वहाँ पे we had discussed this in detail. But otherwise, towards the end of the session, I'll explain it. For now, इतना pivot सबने बना दिया है. अभी यहाँ पे जो blank दिख रहा है, ठीक है? For whatever reason you don't want it to show as a blank. Simple thing, right click. You have pivot table options. Okay. ध्यान दीजिए, यहाँ पे your pivot table has a name. Sanjeev, you may not have chosen the D column. I don't know. If you can share your data range, I can tell you. Or if you have changed the name of the heading by mistake, then that is possible. Okay. यहाँ पे you have certain things here, like you have merge and center cells with labels. You have for error values. If you're dividing some value, if you're multiplying some value. So I want here all empty cells to show NA. Okay. Yeah, there are so many columns. There are 43 columns. So now the moment I click on OK, you will see that wherever I had a blank cell, okay, वहां पे it is now showing NA there. Clear? Any questions still here? अभी तक किसी को कोई सवाल? यहां तक बेसिक्स ही चल रहा है. Return. Okay, please repeat. Repeat which one? In row. Oh, wait, You want to have one more row added. Okay, I can add English product category name here. This is in response to Sandeep's question. Okay, I have added category. I have added one more this thing. So inside the state province name, I have added English product subcategory name. Okay. I wanted to look a little better. What I do is I go into design, report layout. I want to see this in a tabular format. Okay, so this is how I can now make the pivot look a little bit more meaningful. So instead of showing in one row, it is now showing in 2 rows. I hope this answers your question. Sandeep, I can't see your full name. Sandeep DH. Something. Okay. Kinjal, can you confirm which part do you want me to repeat? Yeah, how NA has come. Okay. Right click on the screen, pivot table options. For empty cells, show NA. I have written NA manually. Hence, it is now not showing you a blank cell there. It is showing you NA there. Is this clear? Since a lot of people have asked this, I hope that is taken care of. How have you shown data range on screen? Okay, click anywhere inside the pivot table, go to pivot table and analyze. Inside pivot table analyze, there's an option under data called change data source. Here it will show you your range. What is the range that you have used for your pivot? For ease of access, I have just chosen column A to AQ. So everything in that column. Tomorrow, if additional rows come in, that is automatically taken care of without my raw data being a table. I can use a table, then I can just select the range, it will automatically expand. If you remember in the last session, we had done it using for the drop downs. The same magic will work inside pivots also. Okay. यहाँ तक I hope topics are clear. अब थोड़ा सा मस्ती करते हैं डेटा के साथ, ठीक है? I want to, we have an order ID, right? We have an order ID, fantastic. I want to look at order ID wise. So I'm going to now put the state province name into, okay, I am once again repeating the last three segments. Please pay attention. अगर आपके पास blank cells है, ठीक है, जहां पे ओरिजिनली आपका डेटा कुछ इस प्रकार दिख रहा था, your data look like this. You want it to be a little bit better structured, so you want to show NA जहां पे data exist नहीं करता है. So I right click inside the pivot, come on to pivot table options. For empty cells, I'm saying show NA. I click on OK. Instantly, all empty cells will show NA. I use the design. Your original data looked like this. So British Columbia is also in column A. The subcategory items are also inside column A. As humans, we are more comfortable with 2D data. So I convert that into a tabular format, which means British Columbia के अंदर इतने सारे products बिके हैं. This becomes more easier on your eye. Hence, I used the design. Okay, and design can be used for showing, removing subtotals. It can be used for changing the structure of the report. Okay, removing or inserting a blank row here or there. All of these additional functions can be used with the design area. Okay. Can I explain the filter options? Did I cover a filter option anywhere? Okay, I don't think how the English products that is there ना बाबा in your raw data. अगर आपके raw data में जाओगे ना, English product category name, English product subcategory name, it is mentioned here. These are your headings. वो इधर आपको दिख रहा है, ठीक है? तो मैंने क्या किया है, यहाँ पे you can search for English product category name or subcategory name and just drag it below state and province. यहाँ पे state और province के नीचे मैंने उसको drag किया है. That's it. That's it. Just drag and drop it inside the rows. You can have multiple levels of looking at that data. You can. So I don't want my English product categories to be shown there. I can drag that here. I can show everything in my rows itself. This is dynamic. Your pivot is dynamic. How you want to see is how you can represent it. So continuing with what Sandeep has asked, I have dragged the column into the rows. Rows में जो होता है उसको मैंने filters में डाल दिया, ठीक है? अब मैं एक order ID करके एक चीज है, सबसे पहले एक ये था first column, which is order ID. Okay, I'm going to now put the order IDs above English product category name. Okay. This Notting Hill was something that I added separately, so ignore that. But what I did now is I added order ID before the product category name. If you do this, do you see that you have so many total rows that have been created? For after every order ID, there is a total that is shown. Right? This looks disruptive. मतलब उतना यूजफुल नहीं है. अभी इतने सारे लोगों ने क्लोथिंग लिया है, मेरे को ऐसा देख के फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. So what I want to do, अपन थोड़ा सा इसको घुमाते हैं. इंग्लिश प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम को इधर डाल दिया, ठीक है? So I have my order IDs in the rows, ठीक है? 1001 से लेके 10,999. 10,001 to 10,999 is my order IDs. Okay. My categories are thrown in the columns. Okay. Yes, in the previous example, Rahul, you can remove the subtotals. Here, I'm trying to show is grouping. Up, I don't want to look at the data in this manner. I want to make it a little simpler. यहाँ पे 1000 records दिख रहे हैं. Can I break it down into say groups of 10 each. Can I do that? So since these are all numbers, I select these entire set. Okay. The numbers that are there, I just selected. Right click. You have this option called as group. If you click on this, oh, sorry, my bad. One, you can also have manual grouping. Okay. There is, why is it not detected as numbers? 1 second. I'll just check if I've added something in text in between. Otherwise, auto grouping is something that comes up. But anyway, let's just check it out. Okay. One is manual grouping. Manual grouping कैसा है? अगर मेरे को 1 से लेके 10 तक को grouping करना है, ठीक है? I select these, I can right click, I can group it, I can give it a name. ठीक है? 1 to 10. But there is also an option which is for enabling auto grouping by numbers. Why is it not coming up is something I'm wondering. Otherwise, you should have got group by number. Okay, anyway, I will check that part up. Just bear with me for a second. No, I think it was not identified as a number, hence that was coming up. Okay, for some of you it is coming. For whatever weird reason it is not coming up on mine. You will have an option for group by number. When you tap on group, it'll give you a pop-up that says, okay, so Satish is getting it. I am not getting it for whatever reason. Where you can choose what grouping variants do you need. Okay, so 1 to 10 चाहिए, तो you can group it by 10. ठीक है, करके try करो. I will get back to this portion. We'll get back to it. But for people who are getting it, it is good. You have an option where you can group numbers. There is no reason why it's not run here. Just a second, bear with me. Okay, manual grouping is happening in mine. For whatever weird reason, this doesn't seem to work. Okay, manual grouping kaisa hai? You can select numbers up to 10. There are 2 columns for order. That is okay because column ID names are different. The ID names are different. One is order and one is order 2. I have kept it as order and order 2. So that should not be a problem. Seems to be a localized issue right now. That's okay. We'll continue with this thing. Okay. So you can manually group your data. Okay. So abhi kya hoga? I have put group 1 to 10. I don't, now if I remove the order ID, na, या वो order ID को ऊपर डाल देता हूँ, I have a summary that comes up for those 10 records that I have selected. For those 10 records that I have selected, ठीक है, instead of product name, I'll put the product category name. वो थोड़ा छोटा मोटा दिखेगा. Group 1 to 10 के अंदर के जो order IDs थे, इसका total is 318, clothing is 71.92, Notting Hill is 4.99. This could be the reason. 1 second. I have repeated the order ID 10001. That could be the reason why that failed. Somebody had said it, but I didn't pay attention there. Sorry. Forgive my. So अभी मैं order ID इधर डाला हूँ. English product category name, I am putting it here, and sales amount I'm putting the sum of sales amount here. Okay. अब इसमें if I select the rows and okay, अभी भी नहीं आ रहा है. ठीक है. That portion, that part, I'm not going to jump in. But otherwise, you do have grouping for numbers. Since these are numbers, when you right click and click on group, it's for whatever weird reason still not giving me the option, but you can try it. It's not, Satish. I don't get it. It used to come till now. It's a new issue. When you tap on group, technically, even for dates. So if I'm making a pivot, the same pivot, if I'm just using birthday, for example, if I put in birth dates, for example, it's automatically grouped it into years. As I expand it, it is grouped into months. As I expand it, it is grouped into days. You see this? यहाँ पे automatically grouping होता है. But for whatever weird reason, that grouping is not working right. I will just check for these dates if it is accepting it. Okay, कोई नहीं. I think this is something to do with the recent update that this thing. Okay, yeah, it should work. It used to work till now. I think this is some new change that has happened with the most recent update. I had a office update, I think a week back. So I assume that is the reason, because I am on this particular build version. It used to work before. It's disabled. पता नहीं. कोई नहीं. We'll continue with the rest of this thing. Let us try without selecting the cells. If I just click on one. Oh yes, who gave me this one? Hitesh, thank you. Yeah, this was not the case earlier. Earlier I'm used to doing it this way, but thank you. So you just right click on one of the cells and click on group. Here you can choose how do you want to group it. You want to group it by 100, tap on this one, click on OK. In one click, you have your data that is grouped by sets of hundreds. Okay. Without you having to manually select it. Thank you, Hitesh, for highlighting it. This is, I think, after the new update, it has stopped working. Earlier, it used to work perfectly fine. Okay, superb. I'll repeat. So my order IDs were shown like this. All my order IDs are here. Okay, 1000 order IDs are either. Yeah, 999 order IDs are there. I don't want the blanks. I will remove the blanks. Okay. Now I want to group it. Yeah, for date also it will work. If one works, it will work for the other. I want to group it by 100 order IDs in one go. So मेरे को पहले 100 order IDs का grouping करके I want to look at the data. Next 100 order IDs I want to look at the data. So I just right click on one of the cells, click on group by 100, click on OK. In one click, your data is now grouped by 100 order IDs each. Companies जहां पे manufacturing companies है, उनके पास batch IDs रहता है या order IDs का grouping आपको करना है, you can do that. Komal, just look at this again. Just right click on any one order ID. कोई भी एक order ID पे right click करके group पे click कीजिए. Okay, click on any one order ID, click on group, then tap, it is grouping by 100, click on OK, it will be done. Older versions of Excel, you can select the entire data set also, it will work, or it used to work. Okay. So here what we've looked at is grouping of numeric fields. कभी कभार आपको pivot table ना हर बार जब भी फाइल खुलता है, so if you're working on a daily MIS report, rather that is if you have selected, like if I have selected manually and I right click and click on group, then it will come to group 1, and group 1 you can rename. Okay, you can rename it as Radha's group. Okay, this is how you can group it together. But if you select on any one cell जहां पे order ID है in the row items, it will not work for text, this thing. If it is numbers, it will work fine. If it is dates, it will work fine. Just right click on any one cell, click on group, and you can choose the variance that you want. Here we have chosen 100. In one click, it makes your data into a into a 100 orders का record. Okay, try this. Any questions still here? A quick confirmation. So we've done grouping of numeric fields. We've looked at showing something else in the blank cells. All good. Okay. Grouping of data in pivots. Okay. Manual grouping can also be done. Same way. Okay. I'm showing you that also, Mukesh. जहां ऑर्डर आईडी था, मैं ऑर्डर आईडी को वहां से उठा रहा हूं, इसको मैं यहां से हटा के साइड में डाल दिया, और यहां पे मैं डालूंगा डेट, बर्थ डेट. Birth date is stored as this thing. By default, you can change the name rather if you want. But what I was showing was, so you can also do it manually. If I want to show, okay, to give a good example, in the company that I work in, okay, Madhya Pradesh is considered as part of, Madhya Pradesh is considered as part of West for quite a few reports, but for some other reports, Madhya Pradesh is seen as Central India. So HR के डेटा में मध्य प्रदेश वेस्ट में है, बिजनेस के डेटा में मध्य प्रदेश सेंट्रल इंडिया में है. So when I'm making a dashboard which is going to my MD, okay, I will show Madhya Pradesh as being a part of the center. So even though my HRIS data is showing west, Madhya Pradesh ko I have manually added it into a group which contains all of the other regions from the center. Okay, how to handle subtotals? Very good question. वो भी इधर दिखा देता हूं. उसके बाद we will come to the dates वाला question. मैंने क्या डाला था? हाँ, order IDs डाला था. ठीक है. By default, in some of your cases, it will be showing something like a subtotal for each of these. Okay, you can just come to one of the rows, tap on subtotals, do not show subtotals, and all your subtotals will vanish. Grand totals will still be there. Your grand totals will still be there, but subtotals, the same. Removing the blank column, I showed multiple times already. यहाँ पे drop down पे यहाँ पे या यहाँ पे drop down पे जाओ and remove the tick on the blank. The same story, if you have grouped it also, the same story will happen. Okay. If some of you may have a blank being shown, just go to one of the drop downs, either in the row or the column, and remove the blank, and that will vanish. Tried to group, but getting error that section cannot be grouped. Is there a way? Can you share a screenshot or something? I don't know if you have the option to share a screenshot on the chat. Just see if you can. How to create group for dates? Dates पे आ रहा हूँ. अगला वाला dates पे ही है. We will all get out for a date together. 1 second. So I'm going for birth date here. मैं order ID को यहाँ से हटाया. अभी मैं इधर डाल रहा हूँ birth date. Again, by default, okay, you cannot share a screenshot. ठीक है. I will try and understand. Maybe you can explain it a little better. We will look at it. For now, let us look at the dates. Okay. By default, Excel will group your data. मैंने जैसे ही इसमें डाला, उसने क्या किया है? It has put 1940 में Q4 में अक्टूबर में ये बंदा जन्म लिया है. 7th of October 1940, somebody who bought accessories was born. So it is being grouped into 4 different columns. This is okay, but this is also cumbersome. मतलब by default मेरे को इतना डिटेल में नहीं देखना है. So I go into pivot table analyze. सबसे पहले there is 2 options, group selection, ungroup. यहाँ पे मैं इसको ungroup कर देता हूँ. Okay, I can click on ungroup. Rahul, were you there in the last session? We showed quick analytics, if you remember. And so that is there as part of Office 365. If you are very, very keen, we also use something called Power Pivot, but separate, not a part of the current session today. अब मैंने क्या किया है? I've removed the grouping. जब मैंने grouping निकाला है, For any of you who are getting the data like this, to remove the grouping, click anywhere inside this column, go into pivot table, analyze, click on ungroup, आपका dates आ जाएगा. ठीक है, अभी आपको dates group करना है. Again, same process. Right click, click on group. वो पूछेगा how do you want to group it? By months, by days, by hours, by minutes, seconds, quarters, years. So I think by years is a great idea. Months का जरूरत भी नहीं है. Click on OK. You will now see the data like this. 1940, 1942. Achha, let us see how many people were there in 1942. Okay, I can just double click on this. All of these purchases have been from people who were born in the year 1942. ठीक है, क्या क्या लिया है वो accessories जो भी है. So I have a total of 9 orders that were from people who were born in 1942. The sum total of their sales amount is 5947.5. How did I get this? Just double click. I just double click on the grand total. Just 1 second. Sorry. Okay. So, यहाँ पे what I have done is now I am able to see it year wise. Okay, I can do a quick analytics about कौन से साल का public are buying the most bicycles. Okay, if I look at the value for bikes, whichever is the highest value, I know in a second that these are the people who are buying the maximum number of bicycles. Okay, a quick way to look at it this way. Okay, 36, 846, 38, 650, 1969 born people seem to be spending the maximum amount of money on buying bikes. Quick analysis without really using. Oh, how to group it by financial year? Very interesting question. You may have to add another small column. Sorry. Okay, for financial year, you may have to use a formula. You may have to use a separate formula, which is आपका जो raw data है, उसमें you'll have to add a column that instead of showing the year, shows the financial year. Do you know how to do it? Do you want a formula to do it? Okay, Harshad, I'll share a formula for you where you can convert a date to a financial year. In fact, I think I made something for someone earlier today, which does exactly the same thing. I had made it for. Okay, I'll share the formula with you. Give me some time. I'll share that towards the end of the call. I'll share it, and I'll tell you also that I've done it. Okay. How did I get the color scale? अरे कुछ नहीं. I just selected the column, the entire column. I went to home, styles, conditional formatting, color scales, and I chose the first one. Home, styles, conditional formatting, color scales, and the first option. Okay. So this gives me the color scales as required. Okay. Till here, everybody clear? Grouping of dates have people been able to do it? Superb, Umesh. Okay. Anyone, any questions still here? So we discussed about how to show NA inside a blank cell. We discussed about how to group numeric fields. We also looked at how do you group dates. Okay. Filters, when you say the word filters, what do you mean? Do you mean ये जो drop down के अंदर जो filters है वो पूछ रहे हो? Very simple. Just tap on this. Okay. You can even do date filter. You want to look at data जिस फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में देखना है या एक पर्टिकुलर महीने का डेटा देखना है, ठीक है, और ऑल द डेट्स इन से क्वार्टर 4 ऑफ ऑल द इयर्स. आई वांट टू कंपेयर डेटा I will share, Javed. I have already made two, you know, detailed infographics. I didn't know that people actually saved it from the last session, but here you will have everything, all the shortcuts that you can use. मोस्ट फ्रीक्वेंट कैलकुलेशंस कैसे करते हैं, ग्रुप क्वार्टरिंग, सॉरी ग्रुपिंग कैसे करते हैं, नंबर फॉर्मेटिंग कैसे करते हैं, ऑल ऑफ दिस आई हैव ऑलरेडी मेड. ये आपको शेयर करूंगा मैं towards the end of the session. I have not split it into two sheets. It's kept this thing, but we will I'll share it towards the end of the session. I will share it for sure. वापस chat window गायब. Okay. You want the last session ka sheet also? Sure, I will do that. ठीक है. So यहाँ तक everything is clear. Now let us also start looking at a little bit more advanced nuances. ठीक है. मैंने starting of the session में I told you that columns are called as, can anybody remember? Columns chat window पे डाल सकते हो. Inside a pivot when you're working, fantastic. Field. Rows में जो है वो items है. ठीक है. Row, item, column, field. अब समझते हैं कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें जो इससे कर सकते हैं. उस पे जाने से पहले एक छोटा सा चीज, सिंस आई हैव ऑलरेडी शोन यू द हैश एनए, वापस पिवट टेबल ऑप्शंस पे जाओ. यहां पे एक ऑप्शन है डेटा करके, एक टैब है. ओके. ये टैब के अंदर ना देयर इज एन ऑप्शन कॉल्ड रिफ्रेश डेटा व्हेन ओपनिंग द फाइल. So if any of you are working on daily MISs, if you're working on something where daily the data is changing, connected to a database, when the page opens, when the file opens, you want it to refresh every day, you can just put a tick mark on this. तो ये सारे pivot tables जो आपके workbook के अंदर है, those will get refreshed. Rahul, I think WIRC will respond to that. I don't have the recordings, it will be with them. Okay. अब आते हैं, what are calculated fields and calculated items? So before I start, I just want to understand, do any of you know what is a calculated? Pratik, very simple. Right click inside any of the pivots, go to pivot table options, data, click on this option, refresh data when opening the file. This will only work when opening the file. अगर आपको real time करना है, then you will have to write a macro जो इस session के इसमें नहीं है. अस्मिता automatically refresh नहीं होगा, सिर्फ when you are opening the file. Only when you are opening the file will it work. If you want it to auto refresh every time when there is a change in your raw data, then you'll have to write a macro, but it will also slow down your system because continuously वो monitor करता रहेगा. No, table range can change, doesn't matter. I can monitor the entire sheet, entire workbook if required, but it'll slow down your laptop. So just a heads up, don't. For certain use cases, you can use it. If you're running a call center and you want to real-time show on the screen how many sales have been completed, fantastic. You can do it. 10-second, 15-second intervals पे कर सकते हो. But day-to-day usage में it might make it slow. Right click करके refresh करना is faster. Okay. अब आप में से किसी ने कभी इसके अंदर, now let us just look at some of the options here. यहाँ पे there is something called fields, items and sets. Fields, items and sets दिख रहा है आपको? इसमें let me give you a small heads up. यहाँ पे हमने अगर grouping किया है ना डेटा को, grouped डेटा पे ये काम नहीं करता है, ungrouped डेटा पे काम करता है. So let us understand what these are. Right now I have clicked here 1940 जहां पे लिखा है, यहाँ पे click किया हूं. I click on this drop down and I choose this option called calculated field. What is a calculated field? Anyone? Any idea? Okay. Pratik, do you want to explain? It will help. और इसका चीट शीट मैं आपको शेयर करूंगा बिकॉज ये थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स टॉपिक है. मतलब कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं है, समझने के लिए टाइम लगेगा. ठीक है. दिस इज योर चीट शीट दैट आई विल शेयर विथ यू. करेक्ट. करेक्ट. सो यू डोंट हैव टू. अभी पहले क्या करते थे लोग ना, I want to have something like, I'm giving an example. I'm giving an example. मेरे को एक्सेसरीज प्लस क्लोथिंग का टोटल मेरे को इधर अलग से देखना है for whatever taxation purposes or whatever. I want to have the sum total of clothing plus accessories. ठीक है, oh sorry, ये दोनों को मैं इधर कंबाइन करके दिखाना चाहता हूं. Technically, I don't have this option directly within inside a pivot table. Yeah, I want to sum total, you know, एक सेल्स अमाउंट के ऊपर जो ग्रैंड टोटल अमाउंट बन रहा है ना, इस पे मैं 5% टैक्सेशन कैलकुलेट करना चाहता हूं. पहले क्या करते थे अपन, वी यूज्ड टू टेक दिस डेटा एंड वी विल से इनटू 5%. So you have a something that is outside of the pivot table that is doing this calculation for you. You don't have to do that. Okay, you can come in here, you can go to pivot table, analyze fields, items and sets. I'm clicking on calculated field. What is my field name? Let us say tax amount, and formula is sales amount into 5%. एग्जाम्पल दिखा रहा हूं मैं. सेल्स अमाउंट इंटू 5%. आई क्लिक ऑन एड. यहां पे एक नया फील्ड ऐड हुआ है कॉल्ड टैक्स अमाउंट. आई क्लिक ऑन ओके. ठीक है, एंड all of a sudden I have an option that tells me both the tax amount as well as the sales amount for each of these. ठीक है, so without having a calculation come outside of the pivot table, I can actually show it within the pivot table here. जो मैन्युअली हम लोग कैलकुलेशन कर रहे थे बाहर, that can be done here using a calculated field. I'll explain this once again. I'll show a demo once again. इसमें मैं कोई भी कॉलम यूज कर सकता हूं. So let me show another example here. I go into pivot table, analyze fields, items and sets, calculated field. Let us say that I have a column here which is sales amount. ठीक है, I'm calling this as sales plus tax. This is the name of my field. यहां पे मैंने सेल्स अमाउंट पे डबल क्लिक कर दिया. सॉरी, ये जीरो को पहले हटाना पड़ेगा, माय बैड. सेल्स अमाउंट को डबल क्लिक कर दिया, प्लस टैक्स अमाउंट पे डबल क्लिक कर दिया, एंड आई क्लिक ऑन ऐड. एक नया फील्ड क्रिएट हुआ है विच इज सेल्स प्लस टैक्स. आई कैन क्लिक ऑन ओके, एंड सेल्स प्लस टैक्स इज ऑल्सो शोन हियर. पहले हम लोग टैक्स अमाउंट देख रहे थे, सेल्स अमाउंट भी दिखा देता हूं. सेल्स अमाउंट ऊपर डाल दिया मैंने. हाँ, तो सेल्स अमाउंट था 35.23, टैक्स अमाउंट था 1.76. ठीक है, इन दोनों का सम टोटल जो है 36.99. Did I choose something else? We can check that up here once again. I can go to fields, items and sets and click on list formulas. Oh sorry, मैंने यहाँ पे टैक्स अमाउंट गलत वाला डाला हूँ. That is why it showed that 5% वाला डाला था ना. It will be this. So 35.23 plus 2.81 is 38.0484. What I have done here is I have started calculating between the fields inside the pivot itself. यानी कि कल को अगर डेटा रिफ्रेश होगा, I don't have to do any additional calculations outside of the pivot table. Pivot table के अंदर बैठे बैठे I can have the sum total, whatever calculations you want to do, that can be done here. Why calculated field items will not work on group data? Once you finish making a calculated field, you can group the data. It's a limitation. It's an Excel limitation. Shamal, I am showing it once again. Okay. First of all, I'll remove all the calculated fields first. Okay. So I can go into pivot tables. Sure. I mean, ये आपके ऊपर है. आपको जो create करना आप create कर सकते हो. I'm just from the start. कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड्स के अंदर गया. अभी मैंने कुछ 2-3 फील्ड्स ऐड कर दिया था. ठीक है, देयर वाज सेल्स प्लस टैक्स एडेड, टैक्स अमाउंट दैट वाज एडेड. ठीक है, If I want to see the list of all the formulas that I have used or what I have created inside a pivot table, how to calculate different tax amount? Can you explain that a little bit? मतलब do you mean to say कि अगर एक चीज का 5% है दूसरे चीज का 2% है वैसा बोल रहे हो? कोमल, click on the row label, click on the year जहाँ पे 1940 है उस पे click करो and then you can do it. Yes, you can divide by a number, Rahul. And Komal, just click on the, what do you call it, the year. I am showing it again. ठीक है, तो पहले मैं जो बनाया हूं उसको पहले डिलीट कर देता हूं ताकि वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द स्क्रैच अगेन. मैंने दो क्रिएट किए थे, दोनों को उड़ा दिया है. आई क्लिक ऑन क्लोज. ठीक है, अभी इधर कोई वैल्यू नहीं दिखा रहा है. आई पुट सेल्स अमाउंट. सेल्स अमाउंट को मैंने इधर डाल दिया. ओके, दिस इज माय बेस डेटा. अस्मिता, आई विल एक्सप्लेन दैट अगेन. ओके, अशोक परेख, आपका सर्कमस्टेंस के लिए यू विल नीड टू हैव अ परसेंटेज दैट इज कैप्चर्ड समवेयर. सो लेट अस एज्यूम यहाँ पे जहाँ पे टैक्स अमाउंट है ना, यहाँ पे आप परसेंटेज रख दो, 5%, 10%, यहाँ पे लिख दोगे ना, देन यू कैन मल्टीप्लाई इट और डिवाइड इट और वट एवर. You'll have to have that percentage somewhere inside your raw data. Okay, if it is different percentages, same percentage, then there's no problem. Okay, ये मेरा raw data है. Years mentioned है rows में. दो जो इंग्लिश प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम्स मेंशन्ड है ऊपर एंड सम मेंशन्ड है इधर. अब मुझे फर्स्ट पिवट कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड बनाना है. आई क्लिक हियर. दिस इज फॉर कोमल हु वाज स्टक. यहां पे आप क्लिक करोगे सेल पे, गो इनटू पिवट टेबल एनालाइज, गो टू फील्ड्स आइटम्स एंड सेट्स, चूज कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड. ध्यान दोगे सारे हेडिंग्स जो आपके कॉलम नेम्स थे ना वो सारे आपको इधर दिख रहे हैं, राइट? Anything that has a number in it, you can use that for computing. So in this example, मैंने क्या किया है, sales amount plus वहां पे ऑलरेडी टैक्स डाला हुआ है, टैक्स अमाउंट उधर ही है, टैक्स अमाउंट. ये दोनों को मिला के मैं एक नया फील्ड बना रहा हूं विच इज कॉल्ड सेल्स विथ टैक्स. जैसे मैंने इसको ऐड कर दिया ना, इट कम्स हियर, यहां पे सेल्स विथ टैक्स आ गया है. अगर किसी को डिलीट करना है, somebody asks how can I delete, ये ड्रॉप डाउन में यू चूज सेल्स प्लस टैक्स एंड यू क्लिक ऑन दिस डिलीट बटन. जो आपने ऐड किया है अस्मिता, अगर आपको डिलीट करना है, ये ड्रॉप डाउन पे सेलेक्ट दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग, देन यू विल हैव द ऑप्शन कॉल्ड डिलीट. ये क्लिक किया, मैंने ओके कर दिया. अब आप ध्यान से देखोगे सेल्स अमाउंट है एंड सेल्स विथ टैक्स है. इफ आई ऐड द टैक्स अमाउंट ऑल्सो इन द मिडल, आपको एक शॉट में आपका डेटा गुड टू रिप्रेजेंट ये आपको मिल गया. ये हुआ कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड. आई वॉन्ट एवरीबडी टू ट्राई इट. एक बार एटलीस्ट ट्राई कर लो. द पॉसिबिलिटीज आर एंडलेस. As CAs, when you work with your taxation का होने दो या wherever you need to group data together, I think this is a good way to simplify your report. Not grouping data, my bad. Computing from multiple fields together. This will help. This is called calculated field. अच्छा, अगर ये calculated field है, फिर calculated item क्या हो सकता है? In the meanwhile, please try it. If anybody is stuck, you can, I don't know, how will you share your screens? Because normally my teams पे conduct करता हूँ, I tell people, you share your screen, it become easy for me also to see and guide you. But I can re-explain it. That's the best I can do currently. Superb. ले लो, एक आध मिनट ले लो. नहीं हुआ है, प्लीज सेल्स एंड टैक्स को ऐड कैसे करें? आई विल शो यू किंजल एक वापस. Within pivot, but does not change the base origin. It doesn't change. You are unable to add field as tax amount. Okay, we'll go one step. अस्मिता का सबसे पहले वाला क्वेश्चन था जो बहुत देर से I have explained, but she's not got it. I go back, यहीं पे वापस जाऊंगा. अस्मिता, एक सेकंड के लिए ध्यान दो. पिवट टेबल एनालाइज पे जाओ, फील्ड आइटम सेट्स पे आओ, कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड पे क्लिक करो. ये जो ड्रॉप डाउन दिख रहा है इस पे सेल्स विद टैक्स जो मैंने डाला है ना उस पे क्लिक किया और सीधा डिलीट बटन पे दबाया टुबुक, वो गया गायब। आई क्लिक ऑन क्लोज, वो फील्ड ही गायब हो गया। अभी आप ट्राई करके कंफर्म करो वो हुआ है कि नहीं। ऋषिकेश, टैक्स अमाउंट ये वाला डेटा में है, प्रैक्टिस वाला डेटा में ना, कॉलम कॉलम ए ओ हैज टैक्स अमाउंट, ठीक है। कॉलम ए ओ हैज टैक्स अमाउंट, अनेबल टू डिलीट हो गया, रिस्पॉन्ड, अनेबल टू ऐड फील्ड एज टैक्स अमाउंट। टैक्स अमाउंट ऑलरेडी है, डेटा में है। Once again, I'm going to make it and show so that anybody who's stuck can try. Click anywhere here, जो आपके कॉलम ए जहां पे आपका रो लेबल्स है उस पे क्लिक करके पिवट टेबल एनालाइज पे आओ, फील्ड आइटम सेट्स कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड, गिव इट अ नेम, फर्स्ट सेल्स प्लस टैक्स एग्जांपल। फॉर्मूला क्या होगा, जीरो को पहले उड़ा दो, उसके बाद नीचे आओ, सेल्स अमाउंट प्लस टैक्स अमाउंट। ये एग्जांपल में मैंने सिंपल से ये किया है, सेल्स अमाउंट प्लस टैक्स अमाउंट। बीच में किसी ने पूछा था कैन आई डिवाइडेड बाय टू, करना है कर सकते हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं दिखाना चाहता हूं, यहां पे इसको मैं ब्रैकेट में डाल दिया एंड डिवाइडेड बाय टू कर दिया, जो अमाउंट है उसका मैं आधा दिखाना चाहता हूं। आई क्लिक ऑन ऐड, क्लिक ऑन ओके, यू सी दिस, द सम टोटल ऑफ दिस दीज टू इज 38.0484, उसका आधा इज 19.0242। सो percentage of bike sales amount to total sales amount, I'm a little confused. Charulata, I'm just trying to understand your question. You're saying calculation within the same field is called calculated item. जो calculated item बता रहा था ना, that is उषा आहूजा, सॉरी, that is because आपका यहाँ पे grouping किया हुआ है। सो क्लिक एनीवेयर, यहाँ पे आपका जो इसमें ना डेट्स जहां पे है वहां पे कहीं पे भी क्लिक कर दो, पिवट टेबल एनालाइज पे आके अनग्रुप पे क्लिक कर दो। अनग्रुप पे क्लिक करने के बाद डेट्स दिखेगा, अभी उस पर राइट क्लिक करके ग्रुप करो एंड चूज ओनली ईयर्स, कैलकुलेट परसेंटेज ऑफ टोटल वैल्यू। कैन यू गिव मी अ this thing, so total value divided by or tax divided by sales amount, वैसा चेक करना चाहते हो? Is that your question? Because if that is your question, that is very simple, very similar to what we did now. हाँ, pivot table analyze पे जा गया, fields, item sets, calculated fields. This would be tax by sales percentage. यहाँ पे मैं tax amount डाल दूंगा divided by sales percentage, sales amount divided by sales amount. Click on OK. I have the percentage. Total of sales divided by line item sales. I did not understand that. Line item would be that you're talking about average of sales, is it? Total divided by count बोल रहे हो क्या? उसके लिए उतना मेहनत करने का जरूरत नहीं है. You can just right click inside the pivot. Yes, you can. Kailash, I'll come to that. So यहाँ पे अभी sum of sales amount है. I think answering to this one. किसका सवाल था? And we have, अच्छा, ये accessories को you want it in the middle. You want to say group and center the headings, is it? Pivot table options, merge and center cells with this thing. This is for Kirti. See, Kirti has asked the question, can I have accessories in the center, bikes in the center? Just right click on the pivot table options, merge and center cells with labels. Okay, you can do that. Dinesh, your question, total number of sales divided by total line items. just right click anywhere inside your sum of sales amount, come to value field settings. Value field settings may, instead of showing the sum, you can show the average. That is total divided by number of sales items. Sales of 3 items, all 3 have different tax. Yes, यहाँ पे आपको एक कॉलम में टैक्स परसेंटेज स्टोर करना है. सो आपका जो रॉ डेटा है, यहाँ पे टैक्स वैल्यू जो डाला है, इसके बदले माय स्क्रीन इज विजिबल, आई होप. Can someone confirm if my screen is visible? Yeah. Okay. So अगर आपको टैक्स परसेंटेज करना है तो यहाँ पे टैक्स अमाउंट लिखने के बदले यहाँ पे इफ यू हैव 5%, 10%, you can multiply sales amount into tax percentage. Let me show you a sample. I'm adding a new column called tax percent. ठीक है. Between 5 and 10%, I have randomizing the tax percentages. ठीक है. अभी मैं मेरा pivot table, this is just for people to understand. ओके, और सबको परसेंटेज में चाहिए ना. ओके, सो एक नया ये ऐड किया हूं. आई एम गोइंग बैक इनटू माय पिवट. मैं ये पिवट को थोड़ा सा चेंज करने वाला हूं. पिवट टेबल एनालाइज, चेंज डेटा सोर्स. आई एम चेंजिंग माय सोर्स फ्रॉम ए टू ए क्यू टू ए टू ए आर राइट नाउ. ओके, अब मेरे पास एक नया परसेंटेज आया हुआ है जिसका नाम है टैक्स परसेंट. ठीक है, पहले वाला मैं पूरा उड़ाने वाला हूं अभी. फील्ड्स, आइटम सेट्स, कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड्स. आई एम डिलीटिंग ऑल माय अर्लियर दिस थिंग. पहले का सब उड़ा दिया. ठीक है, अभी एक नया वाला फील्ड ऐड कर रहा हूं, कैलकुलेटेड टैक्स परसेंटेज. यहां पे आई एम गोइंग टू चूज सेल्स अमाउंट इनटू टैक्स परसेंटेज. Sales amount into tax percentage. I click on add, click on OK. For somebody who had asked, can I get एक का 5%, एक का 2% है here. Right now, for each product, it has taken your percentages and उसके basis पे it has calculated the tax amount. So if you have variables, you can use it as long as your raw data holds that information. Coming, Umesh, next. रो लेबल में क्या है, मतलब समझा नहीं. रो लेबल में यहाँ पे ईयर्स डाला हुआ है. बर्थ डेट का जो ईयर्स था ना वो डाला हुआ है. ओके, दैट इज ईयर्स. सो बर्थ, इफ यू सी हियर मेरे इसमें देखोगे, बर्थ डेट मैंने खींच के डाला था, उसको मैंने ईयर्स में कन्वर्ट किया. हाउ डिड आई कन्वर्ट इनटू ईयर्स? आई यहाँ पे जो ग्रुपिंग वाले ऑप्शंस में, ग्रुप वाला जो ऑप्शंस में मैंने ईयर्स चुना था. इफ आई अनग्रुप इट, डेट्स ऐसा है, ग्रुप करूंगा यहाँ पे ईयर्स पे मैंने उसको ग्रुपिंग किया विदाउट, बाकी मंथ्स वंस कुछ क्लिक नहीं किया, सिर्फ ईयर्स क्लिक कर दिया तो इस तरीके से वो आ जाएगा. ओके, अब आते हैं. अब कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड सबको समझ में आ गया, इज माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग. तो कैलकुलेटेड आइटम क्या होगा फिर? एनीवन? तुक्का मारना है. ये अगर कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड हुआ तो कैलकुलेटेड आइटम क्या होगा? वी अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज अ फील्ड. फील्ड वाज अ कॉलम. आइटम क्या होगा? आइटम इज अ रो. सो जो आपके फील्ड के अंदर है, that is going to be used when you are using a calculated item. Let us look at an example. हाँ, ये देखो यहाँ grouped pivot. We had already grouped this data earlier. तो पहले अनग्रुप करने के बाद ही आप ये बना पाओगे. तो मैं ये डिलीट कर रहा हूँ ये पिवट को पहले, एंड वी विल फ्रेश स्टार्ट करके मैं इधर से सैंपल के लिए दिखा देता हूँ. लेट अस से इंग्लिश प्रोडक्ट नेम है एंड सम ऑफ सेल्स है, फॉर एग्जांपल सेल्स अमाउंट है. ठीक है, दिस इज माय, या प्रोडक्ट नेम के बदले लेट मी चूज प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम, दैट विल बी इजियर. Can we edit? Yeah, we can edit the formulas in calculated field. I will show that. Kailash, 2 minutes. Vikram Vyas, I did not understand your question. Yeah, okay. You're responding to that. You're responding to what is a calculated thing. Okay. So यहाँ पे बड़ा simple सा ये बनाया हूँ. I have got accessories, bikes थोड़ा बड़ा कर लेते हैं, सब कैटेगरी डाल देते हैं, मजा आना चाहिए. हाँ, अभी इधर देखोगे ना, मेरे पास है बाइक्स, बाइक स्टैंड्स, बॉटल्स एंड केजेस, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. एक तरीका है जहां पे आप इनको चुन के इन तीनों को आप राइट क्लिक करो और ग्रुप पे क्लिक करो, यू कैन गिव इट अ नेम. या अगर आप थोड़ा मेहनत करना चाहते हो, then you can use a calculated item. So what I'm going to do, I click on bike racks, fields item sets by 6:30. This is the, so after this I will be discussing about what is a slicer, what is a timeline. Okay. And we will also just look at some small easy charts. So by 6:30 I'm hoping that this gets done, maybe 6:35, because 5 minutes we had spent in the introduction. तो वो हटा दूंगा तो 6:35 पकड़ लो, हो जाएगा. अच्छा, कैलकुलेटेड आइटम क्या है, इस पे जाऊंगा. अब इंग्लिश प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम के अंदर आई वांट टू ऐड, आई वांट टू कॉल दिस एज से द बाइक्स. ठीक है, बाइक्स का फॉर्मूला क्या है, बाइक रैक्स प्लस बाइक स्टैंड्स प्लस, और कई बाइक है, माउंटेन बाइक्स प्लस रोड बाइक्स एग्जाम्पल. ठीक है, माउंटेन बाइक्स प्लस रोड बाइक्स प्लस टूरिंग बाइक्स. ठीक है, इन सब का टोटल मैं दिखाना चाहता हूं अंडर वन हेडिंग कॉल्ड बाइक्स. क्लिक ऑन ऐड, क्लिक ऑन ओके. नीचे बाइक्स करके एक वैल्यू आया है विच इज द सम टोटल ऑफ ऑल द अदर बाइक्स दैट यू हैव सीन अबव. तो दिस प्लस दिस प्लस दिस प्लस दिस plus this is 550 lakh, sorry, 5 lakh 539. You see that value that has come up here. So जो हम grouping के साथ कर रहे थे, the same thing you can do by using calculated items. You can also use formula here. So instead of giving all of this, you can also divide by 2. Yes, in this case, there will be a double sum. In this case, there will be a double sum. This is used under specific situations where you need this value to be shown for reports for this thing. So आपके बाकी के जो ऊपर वाले बाइक्स हैं उनको पहले आपको हाइड करना पड़ेगा if you don't want your double sums to come in. ठीक है, so I am going to remove all of these and just keep this. Otherwise, you will have repetitions that will happen. Can we show calculated item out of the pivot table to avoid? Yeah, you can. That's what I'm saying. So you can just show that bikes वाला value. ठीक है, आप एक बना के सिर्फ आप वैल्यू दिखाना है. So you can actually show this as a separate this thing. Okay, Seema, once again. आपने ग्रुप का पहले मैन्युअली हमने, this is for specific use cases, Umesh. एक feature है that is available. Just second. Just bear with me for a second, please. Conrad, I'm in a training. I'm conducting a training. Anything urgent? Just a moment. Bear with me. So sorry, I had a official call which I couldn't this thing. Okay, I am repeating it again. Once again, क्या था, क्या लोगों ने पूछा है? Separate pivot from the pivot. You can have. So when you're making a dashboard, sometimes you may want to show what is the sum total of all the bike related products that you have sold. Now, one option of doing it is by creating, by grouping them together. So, for example, अगर मैं ग्रुप के अंदर जाऊंगा, ठीक है, and one option I can do is I click on bike racks, bike stands, mountain bikes, road bikes, touring bikes, okay, all of these together. I right click and I click on group and I rename this group as bikes. One example. This is one way of doing it. लेकिन अगर आपको वो एक कैलकुलेटेड आइटम के थ्रू करना है, ठीक है, then you don't group it. You just come into fields, items and sets, click on calculated item. यहाँ पे you give it the name as bikes, ठीक है. You can choose bike racks plus bike stands plus mountain bikes plus road bikes plus touring bikes. Okay, and I click on add. I click on OK. You will see that this new value has been created here. But in this case, you will have to hide the others if you don't want duplication. Yeah, grand total hata do. Just use this for representing the groupings that you have built using calculated fields. Sorry, calculated items. It will result in double. Okay. You're getting an error. Yeah, the data is grouped. That is the reason I created a fresh pivot. In a group data you can't, because grouping में भी आप वही कर रहे हो. पूर्वा पहले वाला पिवट आपने डिलीट नहीं किया होगा. सो इट व्हेन यू मेक अ न्यू पिवट इट विल आस्क यू, डू यू वांट टू यूज द सेम logic or the same data set for the pivot, then you will get that error. So you'll have to make a fresh pivot if you don't want to run into that error. Okay. Can I request everyone to try this and confirm if you've managed to do it? Maybe a quick Y on the chat window if you have done it. Superb. Thank you, Preeti. Both calculated fields and items are not things that a lot of people were. रेफरेंस टू मल्टीपल आइटम्स अलाउड है क्या? इशू है उसमें? ये तो अभी मल्टीपल आइटम्स ही तो सेलेक्ट किया है अपन ने. Priyadarshini, click on this, on the row label before you tap onto pivot and analyze. Pivot table analyze के अंदर click करने से पहले click under the row label. Then you will be able to do it. Purva, you may have deleted the. Just check if you have another sheet in which there's a pivot table. That's a possibility in your case. मैंने delete कर दिया था, सीधा sheet ही delete करके fresh sheet पे बनाया था. Or ungroup the data and then do it. It will also work. I don't. Are you doing exactly the same thing I'm doing, Charulata? Because this error comes either if your laptop has really limited RAM. If it's your personal laptop, update it. If it is from the company, please ask them to update it for you, because this is basic. Okay. Now I will take another 5 minutes. Somebody requested that I should close on time. Defer layout update is especially when you're if you don't want the refresh to happen real time. The refresh needs to happen only when you manually refresh it. Then you can enable the defer refresh rate. Especially useful अगर आपके पास बहुत dynamic data है जो continuously change होता है. There it will help. Can we sort figures in the pivot table? Same normal sorting option. So you can tap here, click on sort. यहाँ पे grouping नहीं किया तो it should work fine. 1 minute, where did I go? You can sort it. Just tap inside the sales amount and you can sort it. So that shouldn't be difficult. हाँ, multiple levels of data field अगर है, मतलब आपका number of rows 3 या 4 है, then your sort might not be perfect, but वो करता है, sorting तो करके दे देता है. Okay. The last couple of minutes, हाँ, अगर multiple levels है वही बोल रहा हूँ, it will just sort by largest to smallest, but it might not be true for the second or the third level of data. This thing. When you use calculated item, if you don't remove what you have grouped together, then the total will change. So usually calculated items are very rarely used today. This was a depreciated function which is still present. Calculated fields are used very regularly. What is the relationship in a pivot table? अगर आपके पास more than one table है, for example, giving a example, company का HR records है which has employee ID, employee name, location. Okay, you have another sheet that has medical histories which has employee ID, uh, hospital name and amount issued. These two tables can be combined into a relationship, both for Power Pivots as well as relational data models. So you can use it, though might not be possible to cover that right now in the session. But if you're interested, I can have a separate short, matlab, half an hour kind of a session to touch just on that one topic. Relationship tab, OLAP, वही बोल रहा हूँ, OLAP tool, relationships. In fact, that is an entire session separately. You have data that you can pull from multiple sources. Okay, and यहाँ पे you have options to merge and to append directly basis the query, and this runs on a inside a Power Query window. वो थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स सेशन है, मतलब 2 घंटे के सेशन में तो मुश्किल है. पिवट्स के अंदर आई वांट टू जस्ट कवर वन मोर एरिया. ठीक है, समटाइम्स यू मे वांट टू शो योर, ये जो आपका बर्थ डेट के बेसिस पे मैं जो पहले दिखा रहा था, याद है बर्थ डेट, तो आई मे वांट टू शो दिस डेटा in a more dynamic representation. So मैं क्या करूंगा, I'll go inside pivot table analyze. I will insert something called a slicer. Okay, slicer will, sorry, first I will insert a timeline. सबसे पहले टाइमलाइन इंसर्ट करते हैं. यहाँ पे सिर्फ बर्थ डेट पे आपको ऑप्शन आएगा. सो आई क्लिक ऑन टैप, क्लिक ऑन ओके. यहाँ पे एक बड़ा सुंदर सा एक ब्लू कलर का पैनल आ रहा है जो ये दिखा रहा है. मेरे को मंथ्स वंस नहीं चाहिए, मेरे को डायरेक्टली ईयर्स के बेसिस पे चाहिए. सो अगर मैं 1940 पे क्लिक करता हूँ, ये प्रोडक्ट्स बिके हैं जो 1940 टू 41 के बीच में, 41 का मैंने ऐड कर दिया अभी. ठीक है, या आई वांट द विंडो टिल 1944. 1944 तक के लोग, 1940 से लेके 44 के बीच में जो लोगों ने जन्म लिया है, इतने ऑर्डर्स प्लेस किए थे. आई वांट इट टू बी नाउ मोर डायनेमिक, आई वांट इट टिल 1949. ठीक है, सो मैं 1940 टू 1949 करूंगा. These people have, so what I have done here is I'm now having a dynamic filter जहां पे मैं ईयर वाइज डेटा कंपेयर करके देख सकता हूं इस साल के लोगों ने क्या खरीदा है. नाउ थिंक अबाउट योर डेटा. You want to look at monthly transactions, you want to look at yearly transactions, you want to look at tax paid year upon year. This will give you a very quick reference from whatever data that you are using. वन शॉट में आपको उस साल में क्या हुआ वो आप देख सकते हो. अच्छा, चलो पहले ये फिल्टर मैं थोड़ा हटा देता हूं. इसमें आई कैन ऑल्सो एड अनदर ऑप्शन which is back here. I go into pivot table analyze. I can add something called a slicer. So समझ लो मैं प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम के बेसिस पे इनको स्लाइस करना चाहता हूं या कलर के बेसिस पे स्लाइस करना चाहता हूं. ठीक है, 2 स्लाइसर्स ऐड कर देते हैं. ऐसा 2 सुंदर सा चीजें आएंगे. मैं देखना चाहता हूं कि ब्लैक कलर के कितने प्रोडक्ट्स बिके थे. टैप, डन. ब्लू कलर के कितने बिके थे, रेड के कितने बिके थे. अच्छा, रेड में बाइक्स कितने बिके थे देखते हैं. Okay, so now this is a very dynamic way of looking at your data without having to manually make changes. Do you guys want to give it a quick try? Timelines and slicers. If you have managed to do it, just put a TS on the chat window so I know that timelines and slicers you have managed to do it. Yes, it works like a chart. And the beauty is you can right click anywhere inside any of these existing charts, sorry, existing pivots. And if required, we can just make a quick line chart or a cluster chart or a column chart from the data that you have made here. How to go back to pivot table analysis. ये जो ऊपर, अच्छा, आपने फिल्टर करने के बाद आप कैसे वापस जाओगे पूछ रहे हो. ये ऊपर, you see this cross, just tap on this cross, just tap on this cross, your entire data comes up. If you click on any filter, सिर्फ वो filtered data का representation दिखेगा. So अभी मैंने इधर bikes select किया हूं. It is showing me bikes, mountain bikes, touring bikes, road bikes in my this thing. I want to see only black color में क्या बिका है. It's only bikes, mountain bikes and road bikes. अच्छा, कितना पीस बिका है, आई कैन राइट क्लिक ऑन दिस, आई कैन एक्चुअली शो द डेटा लेबल्स कि कितना अमाउंट बिका है. ओके, how did I do timeline and slicer? Once again, this is for in slicer search option is there. यहाँ पे आप टाइप भी कर सकते हो ना. Sorry, नहीं, you don't have. You need to manually click slicer and timeline. I will quickly show that slicer and timeline again. Delete, delete, delete. सबको उड़ा दिया. ठीक है, इसको भी उड़ा देता हूँ. इसको, मेरा डेटा ये है, राइट. I click anywhere inside the pivot table analyze, insert timeline. सिर्फ birth date available है तो वो आएगा ऑप्शन. तो पहले बना टाइमलाइन, वापस मैंने पिवट के अंदर आया, पिवट टेबल एनालाइज, इंसर्ट स्लाइसर. मैंने दो चीजें चुना, कलर चुना एंड आई डोंट नो प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी नेम चुना था. ओके, आई क्लिक ऑन ओके. आई हैव these two that are created. The moment I click on black, the data is filtered only for black. Blue, I want black and blue. Keep the shift बटन दबा के आप मल्टीपल भी चुन सकते हो, या कंट्रोल दबा के आप रैंडम वाले भी चुन सकते हो. ओके, ये कर दिया. अब मेरे को इसमें ईयर्स जो है, मेरे को इतना लंबा नहीं चाहिए, मंथ्स को मैंने ईयर्स पे कन्वर्ट कर दिया. जस्ट वन सेकेंड गाइस. सॉरी. तो अभी मैं ईयर्स में कन्वर्ट कर दिया. मेरे को ईयर्स का देखना है 1942 से 1944. 1940 से लेके 1944 के बीच में जो लोग जन्म लिए थे, उन्होंने ब्लैक, ब्लू, मल्टी, सिल्वर एंड येलो कलर के बाइक्स टोटल $11,518 का यूज कर सकते हैं. The color you choose do not reflect on the pivot table. What is the advantage? Aman, you tell me. In one click, you are able to simplify your data without really going and clicking in the drop down, selecting dates. यहाँ पे आप, in a much faster way, you can select both dates as well as any of the filters that you want. Especially अगर आप एक dashboard build कर रहे हो, this is extremely useful because आप जितने भी representative features है, आप उधर दिखा सकते हो. Timeline can be only used in dates, Preeti. How to reduce slicer as drop down? I did not understand. So if you want to reset it, just click on the cross button. यहाँ पे जो filter पे जो cross दिख रहा है, उस पे click करोगे, you will come back to your entire data. So till now, you looked at quite a few features of a pivot table. We've looked at what is a pivot table, how is a pivot table to be made, how can we use a slicer timeline, etc. How to show NA inside a blank cell, how do we group numeric fields, how do we group dates, okay, how do we automatically refresh a file, as well as calculated field and calculated item. Deleting कुछ नहीं है, just select करो, delete करो. इस पे select किया, delete बटन दबाओ, कीबोर्ड पे delete बटन दबाओ. How to assign slicer in rows instead of columns. How do you plan to use it? Umesh, if you can explain. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have come to the end of the session. Somebody had asked me, yeah, I'm sharing the cheat sheets here. I'm sharing both the cheat sheets on the chat window. Somebody had asked me about financial year. Okay, so the session is over from my end. I will hand over the session to the WARC team for any insights or inputs that they have. In the meanwhile, I will also be sharing the, what do you call it, cheat sheet that I have just shown you some time back, as well as somebody had asked me a formula for financial year. Assuming that your year is mentioned in column D, say D2, then I will write the formula and I'll just share it. Just a moment here. First, let me share the file. recordings of the sessions, WIRC team will be able to confirm. I don't have that. Mastering pivots I have shared, and calculated fields and items I have shared the thing. Select slicer tab, buttons, column change from 1 to required numbers. I did not understand that clearly, Komal. Okay, I've shared both the files, calculated fields and items ka, as well as mastering pivots ka files. Now, for somebody who had asked me a financial year, this thing, so let's assume 10 March 5. I'm assuming this is in E1. WIC team, do you want to pick up in the meanwhile while I'm sharing this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the session is done. I
Okay.
will be answering questions on the chat after you finish your this thing.
Okay.
Somebody is asking, people are asking for the recordings, if that can also be helped.